What's up, Silver and Black Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair, Las Vegas Raiders edition. On this episode, I'll be talking Raiders defensive line. The last few weeks, I've been breaking down their defensive unit as a whole. I started with the defensive backs 2 weeks ago. Last week, I did the linebackers. This week, I'll finish up with the defense, talking defensive line. And also, I will be talking about the life and times of Jim Otto. That and much, much more coming up here on the Silver and Black Lair. So stay tuned. I'll be back in 45 seconds. Good morning, Silver and Black Nation. Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair Las Vegas Raiders edition. Raiders. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry. And you know what day it is, right? It's Friday. Whoop, whoop. The weekend is here. Holiday weekend, 3-day weekend. There we go. At least for most of us. You know, some of you working stiffs have to work on a holiday. You know who you are, right, Mrs. Fry? My wife, Jen, unfortunately for her, she has to work the holidays where she works at. You know, it's just that is what it is. It's a bummer, but somebody has to do it, I guess, right? Somebody got to keep that stuff flowing through Lowe's distribution, I guess. I don't know. All right. So I'm going to kick the show off. Like I mentioned, I started doing this earlier this week on the Bat Cave. I'm going to kick the show off with out of the box scores. I'll go over last night's scores, almost kind of like a poor man's version of Sports Center. No highlights, just I'll read the scores. I'll read some of the highlights from some of the games, but no video highlights or nothing like that. So I could do that, but I always worry I'll get shut down. I've had a couple of my shows be white flagged or red flagged, whatever you want to call it, for using content that was copyrighted, which, I go on YouTube, I find a clip or whatever, I play it. I don't know. So it is what it is. Real quick, got a comment here from Adam Glenn, Adam the Answer, saying, what's up? You can check Adam out with us tomorrow night, Saturday night, with the Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling. And we also have Eileen checking in saying, Friday. Yes, it is holiday weekend, so it's a very special Friday. And I'll tell you what, for all of you watching right now, all you guys out there watching, be careful out there. You know, the 5-0s out there already. I seen that they are on my way home from work this morning at 6 a.m. They already had a few people pulled over. So be sure to give yourself a little bit extra time when you're going from, cookout to cookout, and take your time and don't drink and drive. Well, what's the slogan? You can't afford it, right? So, I don't know. All right. So, we're going to do the out-of-the-box scores from last night. In Major League Baseball, you had the Yankees shutting out the Seattle Mariners. What do you think about that, Eileen? Your Yanks shutting out the Mariners. Luis Gill, he only allowed one hit over 6 1/3 innings. He's now 6-1 with a 2.11 ERA. Good for Luis. It's a name that I've never heard of before, so that tells me that he's an up-and-comer, and he's pitching very well. It also helps you have a couple home runs from Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. That was Stanton's 12th of the season and Judge's 15th. Those guys are homering. You're going to win some games. Got a couple more comments here. We got Adam Glenn trying to ruin it for me here. I'm trying to read the scores here, Adam, give some highlights, but you're stealing my thunder, buddy. What are you doing here? Phillies swept the Rangers. I didn't get that far yet, Adam. Hell yeah, baby, for your Yanks. And he's on fire. Yanks are on fire. Yanks are playing good baseball too. San Francisco beat Pittsburgh 7-6. The big highlight from this is rookie pitching sensation for Pittsburgh for the Pirates, Paul Skeens. He won 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 Ks. He now has a 2.25 ERA. Not your dominant outing as he's had his first 2 outings, but I'll tell you what, man, only 1 earned run over 6 innings pitched. You know, he did a hell of a job scattering people around, getting out of some trouble. That's great to see. You know, it's awesome to see your pitcher go out there and just dominate. You know, a bunch of strikeouts and a few hits, nothing big. But you also want to see how they deal with adversity. And Paul Skeens did a hell of a job, giving up 6 hits and a walk. So there's 7 base runners right there, being able to scatter them and not really find himself in a deep, deep hole here on the scoreboard, only giving up that 1 earned run. So good for him. He looks like the real deal. And like Adam Glenn alluded to, the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Texas Rangers 5-2. So that was a sweep of that 3-game set. Defending World Series champions getting swept out of Philly. Wheeler, now 6-3. He won 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. Now he has a 2.53 ERA. He got home runs from JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos. The Padres were able to beat the Reds 6-4 in 10 innings. The Braves shut out the Cubs 3-0. The Oakland Athletics, soon to be Las Vegas A's, were able to beat Colorado Rockies 10-9 and 11. You'll say what you want. I know I was busting their balls on Wednesday when I talked about the Who Gives a Shit series. A's and Colorado, 2 of the worst teams in the league. That's 10-9 and 11 innings. It's a pretty exciting game. You have Toronto beating Detroit 9-1. Kevin Gossman, he struck out 10 in 6 innings pitched. He's now 3-3. He only gave up 1 earned run in that game. His ERA up in the mid-4s right now. He got 3 home runs from this offense. He got home runs from Kiner Falefa. Speaking of Yankees, Kiner Falefa, that's his 3rd. Vlad Guerrero Jr., his 5th, and Varsho's 9th. Baltimore, to round out Major League Baseball, Baltimore beat the White Sox 8-6. And let's move on to NHL. Huge game last night. First game of the series for the Western Conference Finals. Let's see who goes to the Stanley Cup. The win goes to Edmonton. That's a final in double overtime. Second overtime only went 32 seconds. Really, really exciting hockey. You gotta love playoff hockey. I love playoff hockey. If you're not a hockey fan, you still have to check out playoff hockey. Playoff hockey and Olympic hockey are just amazing, absolutely amazing. But Edmonton beat Dallas, so now they're up 1-0 in the series. McDavid, he was able to net the game-winning goal right there in double overtime. Back in the beginning, back in I guess it was the beginning of the first overtime. I think it was the beginning. He was charged with a double minor, a high stick to the face of a Dallas player. Caused a little bit of leakage from the dude's face and some blood. So that got Connor McDavid a 4-minute penalty, a double minor. That the Edmonton Oilers, to their credit, were able to kill. And credit Stuart Skinner. I was on here bashing Stuart Skinner the other day. I think it was yesterday when I was talking. Yesterday when I was talking Stanley Cup playoffs. I was bashing Stuart Skinner. He's the weak link. Blah blah blah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. He showed up. 31 saves for Stuart Skinner. Edinger was absolutely fantastic last night. 35 saves. Dude was outstanding. It's a bummer he had to lose that game. The Oilers got goals from Draisaitl, his 9th of the playoffs. Hyman, his 12th of the playoffs. That made it 2-0. But then the Stars in the second period got a goal from Seguin, and they also got another goal from Seguin in the third to tie it up. And like I said, double overtime. McDavid gets that game winner 32 seconds into the second overtime. In the NBA last night, Boston takes a commanding 2-0 lead in their series over the Indiana Pacers. Boston whipped that ass 126-110. Jaylen Brown, career-high 40-point game last night. Jason Tatum also had 23 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. And Derek White had 23 points, 4 boards, and 6 assists. And for the Pacers, pacing them was Pascal Siakam, 28 points, 5 boards, and 2 assists. Like I said, Boston, the Celtics up now 2-0 in that series. heading out to Indiana next. All right. Adam, the answer says the Phillies sweep should be the first score. Well, to be honest with you, Adam, I just go off of what ESPN had, how they have their scoreboard lined up, and so I just start writing scores down. I read the game recaps, and I kind of decide what goes into a little quick highlight or snippet. And the Phillies happen to be the third score. I think it goes by what time they start. All right, we got Big E's podcast. There we go, Big E's podcast. This is Nick Reinert's friend. So Nick Reinert is my nephew. So nice of you to check the show out. The Big E's podcast. What is that? Do you have a podcast yourself? They're Nick Reinert's friend, Big E. I guess you are. I guess you'd be Big E or Big S. I don't know. Do you have a podcast? What is your podcast? What do you talk about? Is it gaming? Because I know he has a whole gaming thing going on there. Let me know. I can shout it out here and get you some subscribers maybe. He's a bad boy. Yes, Nick is a bad boy, I guess. Whenever I'm around Nick, he's super quiet. That's all I know. He doesn't talk a whole lot. But then I see videos, I see clips that say otherwise. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment says, "What's up, buddy? Nice shirt." There we go. Got a brand new shirt here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to bring it up closer. The official Out of the Box Sports Entertainment t-shirt. If you want to get your very own, hit up our boy Paul Spencer, and he will tell you how. We're working on some t-shirts for our shows as well. So good stuff here, But yeah, very, very nice. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Got the little microphone gimmick in there. Good material. It's a regular t-shirt. A working man's t-shirt. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing fancy. No breathable crap or whatever. Working man's t-shirt. It's what we need around this place. American t-shirt. That's what this is. Straight out of America. Working man. All right. That's enough of that. All right. So let's move on to Las Vegas Raiders. Some Raider talk here. Like I said before on the opening, the last couple of weeks I've been going over the Raiders defense. 2 weeks ago I did the defensive backs. Last week I did the linebackers. So this week I will round it out, close up the defense with the defensive line. The biggest part, the heart of our defense, our defensive line, the catalyst for our defense, the most talented part of our defense as well. Our defensive line is outstanding, and it all starts with Max Crosby. I mean, be honest. It all starts with Mad Max. Even when we had nobody else to rush with him. We had Chandler Jones. We were expecting huge things out of Chandler Jones a couple of years ago. 2020, was it 2022? Yeah, going into the 2022 season, expecting huge things out of Chandler Jones. Well, it kind of fell flat. By the end of the season, he was playing better under Josh McDaniels. So we go into the 2023 season. Right before the season, the dude has a mental breakdown, and all sorts of things happen. He ends up getting cut, released, whatever it was, I don't remember if it was a cut or release or whatever. But he was let go. That's what I'm trying to say. The man was let go for all sort of lunacy that he had going on there. It seems like the last I heard, he is doing much better. He's kind of getting his head on straight and stuff. But that was the guy that's supposed to sit opposite a Max Crosby and really create a collapsing pocket on the quarterback, give the quarterbacks no time to throw, help out our secondary and our linebackers and stuff. It just didn't happen. So the Raiders went ahead and draft Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson being a rookie. And so it's something I talked about last year a little bit when Tyree Wilson wasn't really producing at a first-round draft pick type level. He came into the season already injured from college. He had foot surgery in the offseason before preseason camp with the Raiders. And he just never materialized into what you think a first-round draft pick would be. But again, he was just a rookie. All right, it's adapting to the speed of the game. A rookie that couldn't really work out in the offseason. He was already coming in late, I think he missed the whole preseason. He wasn't really cleared, I think, until either the first or second week of the regular season. So he had no preseason. All right. So it's already getting caught up to speed there. And it's just a lot of things went against Tyree Wilson. Now, by the end of the season, I felt like Tyree Wilson was playing much, much better. He was starting to get pressure on the quarterback from the defensive end position, but he also got bumped down to defensive tackle, where it was kind of surprising. But he is a bigger type defensive end. He's a bit thicker, and he did well there. It's a different position at defensive end, so it's some different techniques, some different obstacles that you got to kind of go through being on the inside than you would be on the outside. And he adapted well to it, and I do expect him to be moved around and to kind of get some more playing time this season at defensive tackle and also sharing some time at defensive end. So I expect him to move him around a lot, which is great, which is fantastic to be versatile like that. So he didn't materialize into the other bookend defensive end to be able to put some pressure on quarterbacks and stuff like that, collapse the ends. And out of nowhere came Malcolm Kuntz. Kuntz, drafted by the Raiders a few years ago, just had an absolute career year last season, and hoping for more of the same. He ended up with, I think it was like 9 sacks last year. I have the stats written down here. I'll read them off in a minute. But he was a godsend. He gave he took a little bit of heat off of Max Crosby. Not a lot of heat, but a little bit of heat off Max Crosby. And the reason he's able to get those 9 sacks is because there is heat on Max Crosby. He draws a lot of attention, a lot of running backs chipping him, double teams and stuff like that, which leads to a lot of one-on-one blocking between the offensive linemen on defensive linemen such as Malcolm Kuntz. So the Raiders go into the offseason still not completely satisfied where their defensive line is, even though they played well last season with John Jenkins, Adam Butler, Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, and of course the Madman, Mad Max, the Mad Stork. No, the Mad Condor. They call him the Condor. That's what they call him. Not the Stork was Ted Hendricks. But anyway, I got it mixed up there. I got my birds mixed up. But anyway, so Max last season, terrific season. Career season in sacks, in tackles, I believe as well. A career year and that stuff, and he was hurt for, I'd say, maybe half of that season to a third of the season, the final third. I mean, there was a point where he was rushed to the hospital with an infection in his knee, and there was a chance that obviously whenever there's an infection, there's a chance you could die, but there was a chance that he could be in some serious trouble, physically with that infection, and he still played the freaking game. He missed a week of practice, of course, spent a few days in the hospital. Came to that game. They weren't going to clear him to play. He said, "You're clearing me to play. I am playing today." And he played. He did get yanked. I believe it was that game. I think it was in the fourth quarter. And the dude was super hot. He was pissed coming off that field. And he let I think it was AP. He let AP know about it. And AP said, "I just brought you out for a break for a couple snaps." He said, "You're going right back in. I'm not sitting you." And that's exactly what it was. They put him right back in the game. He went out there and just continued to dominate on one leg. So coming in this season, Max had offseason surgery. So now you're getting a fully healthy 100% Max Crosby to start. That's exciting. That's very exciting. He plays by far the most defensive snaps of any defensive lineman in the league. 95, 96, 97%, somewhere in that range, somewhere right there. Absolutely outstanding. And he is the leader of our defense. He is the catalyst. He's the jumper cables, if you will, of our defense. He gets everybody going, the intensity, the attitude of just go. Max is the end all and be all of the Raider defense. And then, in my opinion, the Raider team. He is the unquestioned leader and captain of this team, in my opinion, anyway. All right, so looking at the defensive line here, some stats. Max Crosby, 14.5 sacks last year, 90 tackles, 55 of those were solo. All 3 of those, I believe, are career stats for him. 23 tackles for loss, 31 quarterback hits. Insane. He finished 4th in the Defensive Player of the Year voting. He did not get one. I don't think he got one first place vote, or he did not get one vote. I don't know. Whatever it was ridiculous. Second team All-Pro. Nothing to sneeze at. Third straight Pro Bowl. Like I said, high motor, relentless, ruthless, tenacious, all those. It's just a Mad Max, right? Mad Max. That's who he is. I got a comment here. Adam Glenn. How many games will the Raiders win? So Adam, I did their prediction the other day. I'm going to go back to it. I think I had them at 10-7, but I'm going to go back to it just to make sure. Yes, I had them at 10-7. So that's what I think. And actually, to be honest with you, I thought I'm like, I'm sounding like a homer here. I don't want to. People think I'm just, give Raiders wins, willy-nilly wins everywhere. But I heard a couple other people giving them the same exact record. So I'm comfortable with it now. All right. So we have Max on the outside there, and they also moved him to the inside. They moved him around a lot. They had him where he's standing up. You don't know where he's coming from, and all sorts of stunts and stuff. I absolutely love what they did with Max when AP took over. Great stuff. Patrick Graham, awesome. Once he was able to do what he does, Patrick Graham actually coached the defense and open it up a little bit more. We've seen a lot of great things out of that defense, especially the defensive line. John Jenkins, great job last season, I thought, in the run-stopping area. Really clogged the middle up. Big dude, big body, 6'3", 327 pounds. The only knock on him right now, in my opinion, is he's 34. So he's going into his 35-year-old season. Let me fix myself here. He's going into his 35-year-old season. So he's getting up there in age, but he has a couple of years left yet. Last season he had 1 sack, one fumble recovery for a touchdown at 144 yards. So good for him there. 61 tackles, 24 solo tackles, 4 tackles for losses, and 2 quarterback hits. So he's not your get up field kind of defensive tackle. He is your quintessential clogging nose guard, defensive tackle, nose tackle kind of guy that just creates a big mass in the middle. It also takes on blocks to open up lanes for your linebackers. That's huge there for guys like Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo. And the newest Raider, Christian Wilkins. Raiders picked him up as an unrestricted free agent this offseason. Last season with the Dolphins, he had 9 sacks, 65 tackles, 38 solo tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 23 quarterback hits. From the defensive tackle position is awesome. So I expect more of the same out of him this year, especially with Max on the outside. Who are you going to block? He's 6'4", 310 pounds. And so a lot of things I've been hearing about Christian Wilkins. Again, I'm not a Dolphins fan, so I don't watch a whole lot of Dolphins games. Everybody knows who Christian Wilkins is if you're a football fan. You've heard the name. You know what he's about. He's one of those guys out there. He's a talker. The dude's he's out there talking. I don't know. I don't know if you want to call it trash or not. They call it trash, but trash talking. But a lot of it just seems funny. It seems funny. So I don't know. In my eyes, trash talking is supposed to make you mad. I just don't see how you can be mad at it. A lot of it seems to be comical. But anyway, he's another guy, high intensity, high motor. Out there every single play. So we have 2 guys on a defensive line like that, and a third at linebacker, and potentially a 4th at linebacker if Tommy Eichenberg is able to claw his way into the lineup there. So watch out, man. If we can get those guys all in sync, you're going to have a lot of dogs on that defense. Absolutely. I'm really excited for this defense. This is probably the most excited I've been for a defense probably since the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s with Seawood and Greg Beekert and stuff like that. Guys like that on the defense. Who else was on that defense? Jesus, I can't remember. Was Eric Allen on the defense then as well? Who else was that? I'm trying to think defensive line, but I cannot think of anybody right now. And yeah, the thing is, if I seen their picture or whatever, I'd know. Oh yeah, that's right, him. This, right now I can't think of anybody else. But yeah, mainly led by Charles Woodson and Eric Allen and Greg Beekert there at linebacker. So really excited. Christian Wilkins, and then of course, like I mentioned earlier, Malcolm Kuntz, had his coming out party last season. So hopefully he can continue that success into this season. Last year he had 8 sacks, 43 tackles, 32 solo tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 17 quarterback hits, and he didn't start or play in all 17 games. I think he started in 11 of those games. He did play in 17, but he only started 11 of those games. So before that, he's getting just snaps here, snaps there. But then after that, he saw a lot of playing time with those 11 starts and did a hell of a job. And he's young. The Raiders just drafted him a couple of years ago, 25 years old. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. Was a linebacker before he became a defensive end as well. So the dude has speed. Tyree Wilson last year, 3.5 sacks, 29 tackles, 16 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 8 quarterback hits. 23 years old, 6'6", 275. So he's a big dude. Not your prototypical type defensive tackle, but he's a defensive tackle. He's going to wreak a lot of havoc there in the middle, just because of his speed alone. And he's a strong guy. He's a big guy. So tall, so knocking passes down. So I do expect them to use him a lot at defensive end. I expect him and Malcolm Kuntz to kind of split time. But I also do expect them to move him down to defensive tackle, especially like on 3rd and longs. Really get a push up field. Jesus, Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, Christian Wilkins, and Max Crosby all rushing upfield. Come on, man. That offensive line doesn't stand a chance. They got to keep a tight end, 2 tight ends in a back. You're only going to have one guy out there in a route. It's very exciting stuff. Exciting. Adam Butler, who I really dug last year, I thought was great. I was so happy the Raiders brought him back. Him and John Jenkins, to be honest with you, but more so Adam Butler. I thought he had a terrific season last year. I don't think he gets a whole lot of credit. John Jenkins gets a ton of credit, much deserved. But I think Adam Butler just had just as good of a season as what John Jenkins did, just in a different type of way. Whereas Adam Butler was more of your pass rush defensive tackle. Not as big as what John Jenkins is. Adam Butler, 6'5", 300 pounds. It's almost comparable to what Tyree Wilson is. A little bit bigger weight wise, but height wise and stuff like that, not that far off. He's coming into his 30-year-old season, and last year he had 5 sacks, 28 tackles, 16 solo tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 9 quarterback hits. Great job up the middle. I do believe that. I think it was this one, that touchdown that John Jenkins scored on the fumble recovery. The fumble was actually caused by Adam Butler. I believe that was that play against the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm not 100% sure. Memory's not all that great. But I expect huge things out of Adam Butler. Unfortunately, with Christian Wilkins being there, he's going to see a decrease in playing time, and also a couple of younger guys right behind him. So he's going to have to really, when he gets the opportunity, he's going to have to really show out to get more playing time. We're pretty deep on the defensive line, I feel like. So moving on from that, we have Byron Young, who's a kid we drafted last season, did not get a whole lot of playing time last year for one thing or another, whether it was injured. I do believe he was injured also coming into last season from college, or just wasn't up to par yet. Just still working his way up. Again, a rookie. He was a late round draft pick. I don't remember exactly which round it was. I think it was 3rd or 4th round. So he just wasn't ready yet. He and Nesta Jade Silvera, he's another one who didn't get a lot of playing time that could really factor in this year because I believe both those guys are very talented. I do believe the Raiders think really highly of, especially Byron Young. They're expecting a lot out of him. So I do expect to see him a lot more this season than we did last year. He only had 4 tackles last year, and all 4 of those were solo, and that's it. That's it. He only got in a couple games. Nesta Jade Silvera, I think he got in 2 games. I think one of those was just special teams, and the other one he did come in at defensive tackle, but I think he got hurt right away. I think it was like a play or 2 in, had a beautiful play, a beautiful tackle, but that was it. Byron Young is 23, coming to his 24-year-old season, 6'3", 292 pounds. Nesta Jade Silvera, 6'2", 315 pounds, coming into his 24-year-old season. So super young guys. Really exciting. We picked up a couple unrestricted free agents, undrafted free agents. That's what I meant to say. Undrafted, unsigned free agents. I'm not going to really get into those guys. There's a whole pile of them, but you can see our depth chart right up here. The first and second teams up here on your screen. Janarius Robinson. To be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about him. I don't expect to see him all that much. Either, with Max Crosby being out there 95, 96, 97% of the snaps, you're not going to see him unless there's major injuries. Same thing with Ellerson Smith. We did see Ellerson Smith, I do believe, last season a little bit. So the name is familiar to me, but I don't expect to see him a whole lot either, especially with Malcolm Kuntz at defensive end, and also Tyree Wilson, who's going to be bouncing back between defensive end and tackle. I do believe that's what the Raiders are going to do with him. That's what I think they should do. So the defensive line is, like I mentioned earlier, is defense's strongest and best group, with the likes of Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins pushing the pocket. I'd expect big numbers from Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, and to a lesser extent, Adam Butler. With those guys getting all the attention, Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby getting all the attention, it should lead to a lot of opportunity for some big stats and big numbers from guys like Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, and potentially Adam Butler, who I said is more of a pass rushing defensive tackle than what your prototypical defensive tackle like a John Jenkins is. Jesus Christ, I spaced on it. The run defense is going to be pushed by Wilkins and Crosby as well. Crosby does a great job coming off the edge and then getting back in when there's a run play, being able to round that edge out and then rip back in to make that tackle. It does a great job setting the edge as well for wide runs and for quarterbacks that roll out. But Christian Wilkins and John Jenkins are going to be huge up that middle, and it's going to be a tough time moving the ball in the Raiders this year, whether it's through the air or on the ground. I believe John Jenkins and Byron Young will be huge. I believe John Jenkins will stand out this season, clogging the middle and cleaning up after the initial rush. I expect to see more Nesajay Silvera and Byron Young this season, as well as seeing Tyree play defensive tackle on some big passing situations, like third and longs type passing situations. So very excited for this defense. Overall, in a nutshell, this defense looks awesome. Just look at our depth chart right there. You got Crosby, Wilkins, John Jenkins, Malcolm Kuntz right there on your front four probable starters. Divine Diablo, Robert Spillane, Luke Masterson. If we're going off the 4-3, if we're going off the 4-2-5 nickel package, then I'd expect it to be Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane. You have Jack Jones, Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Epps, Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett's the one where I'm kind of, but Jack Jones, Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Epps, and don't forget, of course, Nate Hobbs for the nickel back. Defensive backfield looks great. Like I said, a little bit concerned about Jacorian Bennett, but we'll see what happened. Rookie last season, right? I've mentioned on here so many different times now about the rookies, and sometimes they just need time. The last year's Raiders rookie class, might turn out to be something special given a little bit of time. So who knows? And then looking at our backups, like I said about Janarius Robinson, not really expecting to see a whole lot of him. Do expect to see a lot of Adam Butler and Tyree Wilson. Ellerson Smith, not really, expect to see a lot of him. Amari Burney, not really expecting to see a lot of Amari Burney either. He's more of a project draft pick last season. I think it's going to take a while for him to get a whole lot of playing time at linebacker. You'll see him some, but I expect to see him more on special teams than anything. Tommy Eichenberg, I do believe he'll claw his way up into seeing a lot of time with the first team. Eventually, it's going to take a couple of weeks, but I do believe he will. Darian Butler, a very good linebacker there as well. Nate Hobbs, like I mentioned before, defensive back. He's had a terrific season last year, probably his best season as a Raider. So I expect more of the same from him. Jalen Grant, I couldn't read it. Jalen Grant, Chris Smith II, who was a rookie last year, and DeCamerion Richardson, rookie this year. So I do expect the Camarian to get some reps with the first team this season, especially if Ja'Cory Bennett struggles a little bit. And a couple of the other defensive backs that the Raiders drafted as well this year, I expect them to kind of work their way in some as the Raiders kind of mix it up a little bit. Because there's going to be injuries and there's going to be guys that are struggling at times. So, but overall, I absolutely love this defense. Like I said, this is the most excited I've been for defense in a long, long time. So, all right, so that wraps up the defense here for the Raiders, for the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm going to go ahead and move on from that. I did want to bring up something else, but that's going to have to wait a second here. All right, I'm going to move on to Jim Otto. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up the special overlay that my boy Paul made for me. There you go. Thank you very much, Paul. Looks terrific. Awesome job. Good luck at your doctor's appointment today, Paul. I'm sure it'll be great. Everything will be fine. The ticker will be good. All right, Jim Otto. Jim Otto passed away on May 19th, my birthday. So there's that. So I have a whole bunch of stuff written down here, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it off. And I'm going to go ahead and read Jim Otto's Hall of Fame speech, as well as the Al Davis induction speech for Jim Otto. So Jim personified what it meant to be a Raider. From the uniform, just look at that uniform there. Tell me that's not an Oakland Raider. It's right there. You had the big bucket helmet, because he had a big ass head. You got the neck, the horse collar, neck collar there. Just looks badass on the double zeros. I mean, the dude just looks like a badass. The black jersey, the silver and black. Come on. From his grittiness to his greatness, a little bit of an underdog. He's an undersized center coming into the league, and ended up becoming the greatest center in the league in professional football. So, obviously different times. When he was playing at 6'2", 255 pounds. You're not going to see that. Now, maybe for a defensive end or a linebacker, but not an offensive lineman anymore. Now, your offensive lineman, especially a center, you're looking at 6'2", 6'3", 305, 315 pounds, and they're running 4.6 40. So, a little bit different. He played at the University of Miami. He was a center and linebacker there. He grew up in Wausau, Wisconsin. Joined the Raiders in 1960, their inaugural season for the Raiders. He wore number 50 his rookie year. And for the first 15 years, it was the only center the Oakland Raiders knew. So from day one to the day he retired, he was the only center that the franchise ever knew. He was one of only three players to have played in his team's 140 regular season games in the 10 years of the AFL. He was named All-League every year of the AFL's existence. Amazing. He was All-NFL in 1970 and 71, second team in 72, which All-NFL is basically your Pro Bowl. But back then it was still AFL, NFL, so it wasn't quite together yet. He was named to the all-time All-AFL team in 1969. He participated in all 9 of the AFL's All-Star games, or you figure a Pro Bowl, but they were called All-Star games back then. And in the first 3 NFC, AFC Pro Bowl games. Never missed a game. He started in 210 consecutive regular season games and played in 308 games overall as an Oakland Raider. With Oakland, he won 7 divisional championships in an 8-year period from 67 to 74. Won an AFL championship in 1967 against the Houston Oilers, where they went on to lose in the Super Bowl that year to the NFL champion Green Bay Packers. That was kind of, you still had your AFL and NFL. The winner from the AFL would end up facing the winner of the NFL, and they'd call it the Super Bowl. So that was Super Bowl II. They lost to the Green Bay Packers. I don't remember the exact score. For some reason, I feel like it was like 32-17 or something like that. It just did not go well for the Raiders that day. He was named center of the NFL's 100th anniversary All NFL team. Lost 5 AFL, AFC championship games to eventual Super Bowl champions. And those teams were the Jets, Chiefs, the Baltimore Colts, Miami Dolphins, and the Squealers. All those teams go on to win the Super Bowl the years the Raiders lose to them in the championship games. I don't know if those were consecutive games or not, but they're 5 AFL, AFC championship games that he lost. He was a part of the Sea of Hands game against the Dolphins. Also, the immaculate reception game on the wrong side of the game on that one. The Raiders losing that game in Pittsburgh with the immaculate reception. The Sea of Hands game against the Dolphins, that was the Raiders' win, last second play. On the sadder side of it, he had 9 knee surgeries while playing, and overall had 28. A couple knee replacements, artificial knees. He ends up having his leg amputated due to infections and disease in his knee. And that's the sad part of it. I know the last time I seen a video of Jim Otto, he was in a wheelchair, not looking great. I feel like it was last year sometime, but I could be wrong. He was the first Raider inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1980. Another great distinction there. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and read his Hall of Fame induction and Hall of Fame his enshrinement speech, and also his speech. So the presenter was Al Davis, who's enshrined or presented for more players than anybody else. The Raider players loved Al Davis. And it just if they could pick anybody, that's who they picked to present them into the Hall of Fame. All right, so this is Al Davis's words. So bear with me. This is really cool stuff. I heard this stuff the other day on Locked On Raiders podcast, on the Locked On Raiders, on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm like, you know what? I want to read this on my show. I'd rather show the video, but again, I worry that it'll take it down for copyright and so I'm just going to go ahead and read it off. I'm not going to do an Al Davis voice because it's going to take forever for me to get through it then. So this is Al Davis speaking. Thank you very much. For 2 memorable decades, the last 20 years, the Oakland Raiders have had the greatest players, the greatest coaches, the greatest plays, and performed in the greatest games ever played in the annals of sports. During the period of 1960 to 1974, the Oakland Raiders had the best record in professional football. Among the greatest players, the quarterbacks during these years were names like Flores, LaMonica, and the legendary George Blanda. And also Stabler. But there was one constant, one center, one captain, one original Raider who started in each of the 210 consecutive regular season games during those 15 years. His name was Jim Otto. His number was 00 for 13 straight years. From 1960, he was All-Pro, the only All-Pro center in American Football League history. Now think about that. The only All-Pro center in AFL history. Amazing. Followed by 3 years as an All-Pro center of the American Football Conference following the merger with the NFL. He played in every one of the 9 American Football League All-Star games and in the first AFC NFC Pro Bowl games. He had played and started in 308 consecutive games as a Raider. This long reign included 73 preseason contests, 210 regular season games, 13 postseason games, and 12 all-star contests. Commitment to excellence, pride, and poise, the greatness of our football team were not only exemplified by Jim Otto, but for more than a decade, he was a standard of excellence by which centers were judged in professional football. He was the most honored offensive lineman in the history of professional football, but statistics are just a measure of accomplishment, not really the measure of a man. If it is true that great men inspire in others the will to be great, that alone qualifies Jim to be a great man. He had courage in spite of his first injuries. His loyalty, devotion, and dedication still carry on in Oakland and reach the rewards of victory. While the word company man has a bad and good connotation, Jim Otto was an organization man. He played football for the organization. He wanted to win for the organization. Plain old-fashioned wholesomeness was not past. He was an organizational dream. The enshrinement here in Canton of Jim Otto was like a reaffirmation of the values and virtues of what it is still the American way of life: religion, family, and country, as he preferred them in that order. And the virtues and the fires that burned brightest in him for the great love and enthusiasm he had and has for the game of football and for everyone and everything in life. He loved the AFL, of which he had found original and some of the legendary heroes of that greatly. Lamar Hunt, John Madden, Ben Davids, and to name a few, are here today. He loved the Oakland Raiders and he loved the game of football, but the important thing was he established all of them to a degree never surpassed. I love to come here to the hall. I have done it many times and walk through the exhibits to pay tribute to the great men who we idolized as youngsters and still idolize today. Included in this great class, Adderley, Jones, Lilly, and Otto. I would sign them all today if I could, and we share in their glory. It brings a realization, and I have said this many times, of a debt we owe to them and firm resolution that we will never forget that debt. Jim Otto, the caisson has stopped rolling. The cannons are still. The playing field is quiet. The crowd no longer worries. The silver and black uniform is retired. But I can still faintly hear the national anthem, and those of us who saw the Rattles and the Raiders battle to the top during the last decades will never forget you. And now no one will forget you because the name of Jim Otto will rain down the corridors of remembered times as long as this Hall of Fame immortalizes the greatest warriors of the greatest game. My friend, someone that I will always love, someone who has been a vital part in my life. I will always hope I have been a vital part of his. My friend, Jim Otto, Hall of Famer. So that was Al Davis's speech for Jim Otto to present Jim Otto into the Hall of Fame. A great speech. I kind of, not a great reader. I was in the slower reading classes when I was in school, but I think I did all right. So here was Jim Otto's speech. They said, "There's really no." I'm sorry. I'll start over. This is Jim Otto's speech. "There's really one person I have to thank, and that is the good Lord. I have praised him and blessed him. It started with a dream, and it wasn't an unconscious dream. It was a daydream. It started when I was about 11 years old, and part of that dream is coming to an end today. But the rest of that dream will go on. Daydreams are the best because you can always remember them, and you can always work on a daydream to make it come true. My favorite daydream was that I was going to be a professional football player someday, and it was at the age of 11 while listening to a football game on the radio that I told my grandfather that someday I was going to be a professional football player, and it wasn't long until that day began. Not all dreams come true. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of pride, and above all, a lot of faith and prayer. And I thank and praise God for the help he gave me for putting the right people in the right place before me. For without these people, my dream would not have come true. My 4 years in high school with tough, it was at the time that certain people became a big part in making my dream come true. My parents, who are here today, were a great part of that. They gave me a lot of support and help and were always there when I needed them. My minister, Pastor Gredeman, back in Warsaw, Mass, was a big help in getting me going as a youngster. Back in those days, things were hard, but it wasn't too much money. Back in the days, things were hard, but it wasn't too much money. And at one time, I started getting cards from the YMCA, giving me a membership. I never knew who paid that membership until I was 34 years old, when I went home to Warsaw for a visit to speak at the high school dinner, and Pastor Gredeman was there to give the invocation. It was at this time he told me, "James, when you went to school," he said, "there was a bit of shyness, and it had to come out. And I knew the only way to get it out was to send you to the YMCA." You don't hear that often anymore. And he was the only one who gave me the membership. He was the one who gave me the membership to the YMCA all those years. So I have to thank him. So you can see God put these people out there for me so I could be guided properly. There was another man who played an important role in my life, and that was Tom Yellish, who was a school teacher in Warsaw, Mass, and he was my first Little League coach at the age of 12. He later became my offensive line coach in high school, and he was the best teacher of line fundamentals that I've ever seen. And also my high school coach, Win Brockmeyer, who sent Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch here a few years back. Win passed away just a few months ago, as he would have been here with us today, and I really miss him. He was a great builder of character and had some super records, second to none, and very compatible with teams in the Massillon era. There were all those great people available to me. In college, there was Andy Gutherson, Walt Chikaski, Stitch Berry, and as the years passed, a little bit more of a dream was to come true. I was passed up by the NFL in the draft in 1959. It was December 1959, but lucky for me, the AFL was being formed. People like Lamar Hunt, Wilson, Wayne Valley, people like that were forming a league, giving some of us scholars an opportunity to play, and it was at that time I got my shot. But for the first 3 years in the AFL was more of a nightmare of a dream than my dream come true. For it was during that time, probably I know the best thing that could have happened to me happened. And that was when I married my beautiful wife, Sally. And I think she pulled me out of that nightmare, because without her, I think my dream might have fizzled. And I love her for understanding and patience for all these years in football and all the problems I may have caused in our home. Not only was her patience and understanding great, but also those of our children, but also those of our children. There are times when a father becomes impatient during the football season, but Jennifer, Arid, Jimmy were always there, and they're always put up with their dad. And I'm very proud of my daughter, Jennifer. She's going to make me a grandfather soon, and her husband, Glenn Callahan. We are very proud of those people. And also my son, Jimmy. I'm looking forward to him with a lot of pride, because I can't wait to watch him grow and achieve in sports. And he is just an outstanding person in school as well. And it just makes me very proud to have him here. In 1963, things began to change, and my dream was alive again. And I thank God for bringing me the right people into my dream again. At that time, a young man was to become the head coach and general manager of the Oakland Raiders and guide me to where I am standing today. And that man is Al Davis. He sold me on the Raiders. Not only that, he sold me on myself. He, along with Ollie Spencer as my line coach, John Madden as my head coach, kept me motivated to playing some of the most exciting football games ever played in the NFL. The great come-from-behind wins, the fluke plays for us, some of the fluke plays for the other teams. Will you remember some of those games? I don't have to tell you about those. They're a great part in making my dreams come true. The dream must go on now, but only to my other plans, and that is to help my fellow man in some way and to save my own soul. And I am going to do that with the help of God. To all of the many people I mentioned, the selection committee, Pete Elliott, Don Smith, John Bankert, Mr. Schreiber, and the board of trustees, my family and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and God bless you all. So that was Jim Otto's Hall of Fame speech. Great stuff. Jim Otto, again, this is probably the saddest I've been for a Raider passing away. It's always sad when anybody passes away. I hate seeing people lose their life and stuff like that. But talking purely sports and Raiders, this was probably the saddest I was. With the Raider passing away, a great Raider, Mr. Raider, the original Raider, and you can just hear it in his speech. Just a good man, right? So not only did the Raiders organization lose a good person, a good man, a good human being, but so did all human beings. We lost a good one here. All right, so that's Jim Otto. All right, so I have one more thing I want to talk about here real quick before I continue, before I get out of here. There's some comments by Michael Mayer on Josh McDaniels, Josh McDummy. I guess Michael Mayer, the exact quote. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Cause I don't want to misrepresent what he said, but his quote was kind of like he wasn't happy going to work under Josh McDaniels. As we see here, I gotta find it. I ain't gonna find it. All right. Well, anyway, I wanted to write it down, but I forgot all about it. But basically, he said, coming into work under Josh McDaniels was a nightmare. He hated coming into work. Hated going into the facility every day, just because it was just, Josh McDaniels was so overbearing, so stuck in his way. There's no give. It was all, push, 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 no give, no feedback. Like he would not accept any kind of feedback or whatever. He would not, take the reins off of Michael Mayer. And it wasn't until after McDaniels was fired on a Halloween where everything kind of just relaxed, and you felt that whoosh, that fresh air come through, and everything's kind of like a reset button. So basically, it was him saying that he didn't like playing for Josh McDaniels, which we've heard from several players now. So I would not expect Josh McDaniels to ever get a head coaching job again. If he does coach again, it would be probably as some sort of coordinator or whatever, a quarterback coach or something like that. An assistant head coach, he's not a head coach. We'll call him an assistant head coach to make him happy, kind of thing. And also another thing that kind of pisses me off about Josh McDaniels, not only the ouster of Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr, big Derek Carr fan. I'm not going to sit here and harp. It's a business. It is a business. Derek Carr moved on then. And it is what it is. But he gave Aiden O'Connell the number 4 to kind of piss off Derek Carr. And I think why? I don't know. You're putting all this pressure on a rookie. First off, by putting the 4 on him. Derek Carr had a legendary Raider career, statistically anyway. He also had a lot of great comeback wins and stuff like that. But it never translated into postseason success. So we all know that, right? We all know that. That's why a majority, or not say a majority, that's why there's a lot of Raider Nation that doesn't like Derek Carr, just because of the lack of success, postseason or wins, period. So, but still, he had a legendary Raider career. Set all kinds of passing records. Again, league's a different place than it was years ago when Stabler was quarterback, when LaMonica was quarterback, but still a lot of records. But he gave Aiden O'Connell the 4, to kind of piss off Derek Carr. So I mean, why do that? It doesn't make sense to me. So now Aiden O'Connell did move to number 12. That's the number that he wants to wear. He said, that's Derek Carr. Number 4 was Derek Carr's number. A great Raider, and he wants to kind of show respect, out of respect for Derek Carr, and not wear that number. So, and that's his words. I mean, you can take it a couple different ways. It's kind of one of those deals, I don't want the pressure of having Derek Carr's number on my chest. But out of respect, he said he's moving on to number 12. So that's Derek's number. Should forever be known as Derek's number. Kind of like Tim Brown 81, Howie Long 75. Kenny the Snake Stabler number 12, Rich Gannon 12. It's all synonymous there. Blitnikoff 25, Dave Casper 87. Who else can I think of? Charles Woodson 24, Lyle Alzado 77. Iconic numbers. They go with the name. Got a comment here before I check out. There we go. Stacy Baker checking in. Happy Friday. What's up, Stacy? Thank you for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting, of course. All right, so that's all I have for today. I'm going to go ahead and give some sponsor reads and hammer some things out here real quick. Head on over to Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the office is located on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Immaculate Deception happened, Franco Harris. Rest in peace, Franco Harris. The offices are located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And in the city of brotherly love, the land of cheesesteaks. The offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, Attorney Big Al. Head on over to monkeycoldcoffee.com for all your gourmet coffee needs. They have bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, toasted coconut rum. Yum. They have Sumatran blend. That's a medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend called Perula, Florida. And they also have their newest flavor, Golden Honey Agave. Be sure to check out that swag shop too. They have t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitchers for all you iced coffee and cold brew coffee lovers, K-cup adapters, and don't forget that sweet, sweet paradise rum cake. All that and much, much more at monkeycoldcoffee.com. And at checkout, at that register, enter that promo code OOTB Sports for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoldcoffee.com. Brand new show coming up here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, Inside the Octagon. Talking UFC, MMA, combat sports, debuting May 27th. That's this upcoming Monday. And they will be on live every Monday after that, 8:30 p.m. Host Paul and Josh, they'll punch you right in the face and put you in some sort of ankle lock, a knee bar or what the hell's a Kimura. They'll put you in a Kimura lock if you don't watch it. Facebook, YouTube, X, please like, follow, and subscribe. And tomorrow, don't forget, I will be live with my co-host, Cowboy Dave, Adam the Answer Glenn, and I don't know if Eddie Prather will be on. I haven't heard from Eddie in a while. I don't know what's going on with Eddie. The Atomic Drop podcast, we're shooting for 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night. That's what we're shooting for. I'm going to a local indie wrestling show, so there is a chance that I will be home in plenty of time to go live at 10 p.m., but if not, it's either 10 or 10:30, so stay tuned for that. I will have a Monday Night Football show coming up here very soon as well. College Football Frenzy starts in August for all you college football lovers. And also the Golden Dome podcast. That will be returning coming up in October or in August as well. Talking Notre Dame, fighting Irish football. All right. So that's all I have for today. Thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting. Please, again, check out our YouTube page. Let me throw the handles up there. YouTube, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. Just punch that in. It's the black logo with red lettering. Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, or the handle for it's at OOT Box Sports. That's on YouTube and also on Facebook, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. And check us out on X or Twitter. My handle on X is at SB_Lair, LAIR_OOTBE. That again, for my X is at SB_Lair_OOTBE. And Out of the Box Sports on X is at OOT Box Sports. So be sure to check us out. Please follow us, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff. We're doing what we can to put out some good some good shows, some entertaining shows. I know I'm doing my best, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody checking it out more than you guys will ever know, and giving me a listen or whatever. If you're watching it, and you're maybe you have the sound down. You're like, man, this is a handsome dude, but I can't stand the sound of his voice. I'm just gonna watch him. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there like that. I don't know. Ladies, yeah, hey, I am married, but you can still watch. I mean, it's not an OnlyFans page. Maybe I should start an OnlyFans. No, I ain't gonna start an OnlyFans. I should do like an OnlyFans page, like podcasts. That might be something people pay for. I think I might be. I'm not gonna take my shirt. Maybe I'll take my hat off. Kind of like a hat tease. Whoa, boom, Bob. No, I ain't gonna do that now. No, that ain't gonna work. Nobody's gonna pay to see that. Maybe they will. I don't know. It'd be unique. I'll tell you that right now. Stacy agrees. She's already getting the wallet out. She's getting the credit card. She's going to start putting her debit card information or credit card information into the OnlyFans. Not yet, Stacy. I didn't do it yet. Don't do it yet. You're going to get yourself in trouble with your significant other. But yeah. I mean, I guarantee you I'd be the only one there doing it. Right? I would be unique. People are like, you know what? This is unique. I'm going to check this out. Here's $5, Kenny Fry, Bat Fry. Here you go. Take some of my hard-earned money, and I'm just going to watch you. Some will listen. Some will listen and watch. And, maybe I'll take off my hat. Maybe I'll put it backwards. Oh, whoa, watch out now. Getting risque in here. Going backwards hat. Whoa. Yeah, whoa, getting risque. Yeah, watch out. Get me all excited for that. Stay excited, Stacy. Stay excited. It's gonna happen. If you lose excitement, then you're gonna forget about it. You got to keep that level of excitement up. Tell your friends, or lady friends, or guy friends. I don't know what they're into. Whatever. I will not discriminate money. All right. So anyway, enough nonsense here. That's all I have for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening to my nonsense. And again, rest in peace, Jim Otto. Super bummer. It's gonna come to all of us. It's gonna come for all of us. I get that, but still, it still sucks when it does happen. And real quick again, T-shirt, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. If you want one, hit me up or hit Paul up, Paul Spencer. Send us a message either on X or Facebook Messenger or something like that, and we'll give you the details and we'll get it hashed out and stuff like that. So, all right, thank you, everybody, and check me out tomorrow night on the Atomic Drop Podcast, talking WWE wrestling. Next Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., The Batcave, talking New York Mets. Next Thursday, 10 a.m., Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings edition. And next Friday, 10 a.m., Silver and Black Lair, Las Vegas Raiders edition. Some of those times might change next week. Next week, my youngest daughter will be graduating from elementary school to middle school, so they have a ceremony. I can't remember if it's Wednesday or Friday. I know Friday is their last day of school, so I don't think it's Friday. So I'm thinking it's Wednesday, but I'm not 100% sure. So right now, we'll stick with the regular times, but I may have to bump it back or move it to another day. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when it happens. All right, thank you, everybody. Just win, baby. See ya.